All right, we're ready.
All right. Well, good morning. I would like to call this meeting to order. Teresa, the roll call, please, for the nominating committee.
Mr. Love?
Yes?
Ms. Pachetti?
Yes.
You have 2 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Great, thank you. On January 21st, the letter from the nominating committee was emailed to all board members announcing that nominations were open for the office of president and vice president. Letters of interest were due February 25th, 2025. The nominating committee received the following letters, one from Mayor Paul Kumar for president, one from Jeffrey Sleesman for president, and for vice president, one from Lauren Welch. I'd now like to ask the candidates if they would like to make a statement for the record.
I don't have too much to add to the letter that's already in the record. I would just like to say that I would be thrilled to be president and specifically as a writer, as a regular writer of the system. I know that's a very rare thing among boards of trustees of transit authorities to actually be regular writers. However, I am one, and I think it would also reflect the turnover in the board that we've had in the last couple of years to have someone that's a part of that. That said, for as much as this is contested, it's not conflicted. We're going to move forward together as a board, regardless of the outcome of this thing. And so there's no fractures or cleaves based on this. So looking forward to it either way.
Yeah, I would echo that last comment from Mr. Sleesman. I would say that I think the board has sort of a long-standing tradition to start people at the VP level. That's the reason you see Ms. Welch on all the committees, on the compensation committee. I think that provides continuity for the board and for the organization and for management. I also think that provides a detailed level of understanding of the board and the management, various functions, finance, internal audit, COC, compensation. Those board governance things I think are very important. So I think any of us are capable of it, but I think for the continuity of the board and of management is why I chose to run again.
I'm very honored to sit on this board. I've been on this board since 2022 and in this seat as vice president for the last year. And I will say, I do not take that lightly. My grandmother, who is from Alabama South, would always instill in me that it is important for us to show up, and not just when the lights are on or we're in this room or when the cameras are showing, but I think it's important that we show up even with the work that we're doing behind closed doors. And I have done a lot of that work. I've done that work in the wee hours of the night with Fonse Caver and Commander Hudson, whether it's with the COC committee. I've done that work with George, whether it's looking through scripts and trying to figure out how we can appreciate our employees, and in a number of different ways as well. But my biggest concern is making sure that people feel confident in leadership here at RTA, that they feel confident that we are not just talking the talk, but we're walking the walk, that we aren't self-interested, but we are also thinking about the needs of the people that we serve. And that just doesn't include ourselves or the people who are part of leadership, but our writers, the people who are in this region. And so I feel very comfortable with whoever is decided to become president. I think it's an opportunity. When I came on the board, it was new for all of us when we sat here. I'm grateful for Mayor Bibb for bringing me here, but it's always, as you all know, in your jobs and in your workplaces and in the field, it's a learning experience. I have brought a lot to this table, but I've also learned a lot. And I think whoever takes the seat next can learn a lot, but they'll also bring a lot to the table, or will just continue to do the work that's already being done and elevate it every day. So I'm grateful to sit in this seat. I hope I have your vote of confidence. I want to continue to make not just RTA proud, but this city and this region proud by the work that we're doing. And that's why I submitted my name again for vice president.
Thank you, Vice President Welch, and thank you all for your comments and for your interest in these positions going forward. With that, I would now like to motion to move the candidates to be considered at the annual meeting, Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. Do I have a second on that?
Second, Elder.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I think
It's just 2 committee members. Yeah.
that's okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
That motion carries. This now concludes the nominating committee meeting business. Do I have a motion to adjourn the nominating committee?
So moved.
All in favor? Nominating committee is adjourned.
Okay, I would like to call the Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee to order. Teresa, could I have a roll call?
Ms. Pachetti,
Here.
Ms. Welch,
Here.
Mayor Gallo,
Here.
Ms. McPherson, and Mr. Sleesman.
Yep.
You have 5 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Great, and we just have one thing on the agenda today, and that's the presentation of a competitive procurement for towing and flat tire services for the authority's fleet of vehicles for a period of 5 years. I'd like to welcome the two presenters, Brian Gibson and Monica Maddox, to the floor, please.
Just want to make sure you hit the mic. Is the mic on? Okay.
Good morning, Chairperson Pachetti, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Brian Gibson, and I am the Supply Chain Contract Administrator. I will be presenting the project overview along with Monica Maddox, who will be presenting the procurement overview for the furnishing of vehicle towing and flat tire replacement services. The authority requires approximately 600 vehicle tows and/or on-site flat tire repairs per year. Towing services address a need for mechanical failures, collision recovery, and safety measures. On-site tire repairs ensure minimal service interruption for our riders. J. Ross Express, Inc. is the current provider of these services. In April 2020, the Board of Trustees authorized the current contract to J. Ross Express, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $338,280 for the base 3-year period, and in amounts not to exceed $112,760 for each option year for a 5-year total not to exceed $563,800. In partnering with the Transit Police, this contract also provides a public safety service, allowing for the removal and recovery of vandalized vehicles from our properties. This contract provides towing and flat tire services for all authority-owned vehicles. Now I will turn the presentation over to Monica Maddox.
Good morning, Chair Pachetti, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Monica Maddox. I'm the Procurement Contract Administrator presenting the procurement overview for vehicle towing and flat tire replacement services. The invitation for bid was issued on January 5th, 2025. 9 interested parties downloaded the solicitation. There were 2 responsive bids received on February 7th, 2025. And a summary of those bids is as follows. First bid from J. Ross Express, Inc. Contract total price was $994,675. Second bid was from Interstate Towing and Transport. Total bid price, $1,970,175. J. Ross, who is a local Ohio company, was determined to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. There was a 0% DBE gold participation assigned to this procurement by the Office of Business Development. The recent experience that J. Ross holds is with Metro RTA in Akron, Penske/Hogan, American Iron and Metal, Iron Mountain Recycling, and Wall Street Recycling. Recommendation: the staff requests that the Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee recommend to the Board of Trustees the award of a contract to J. Ross Express, Inc. for the furnishing of motor vehicle towing and flat tire replacement services for a 3-year period in an amount not to exceed $596,805 and in amounts not to exceed $198,935 for each of 2 option years, for a total contract amount not to exceed $994,675. And if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer those right now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Monica, that was your first time presenting, I understand?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful job. So any questions from the committee? Yeah, go ahead.
How much is the current contract?
So are you asking, excuse me, are you asking like what we're currently spending?
Yeah.
It's been an average of about $135,000.
We talked about this a little yesterday. Could you explain a little of the background, current contract versus this contract in terms of cost, and then reminding us who the contractor is?
Yes, so J. Ross is our current vendor. Our current spend is averaging $135,000. We expected an increase on a new contract. They actually approached us at the end of 2022 to talk about an increase. We postponed those talks to this new contract, effectively saving the authority over $60,000 by postponing. We expected, just basically due to fuel costs, inflation, we were going to see a pretty big increase. This is in line with what we expected.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you, Chair Emily.
I'm sorry, Trustee Welch.
It's okay. I appreciate that, Chair Pachetti. I was just wondering, in the 600 vehicles, does that include third-party paratransit vehicles, or is it just the ones that we have in-house?
It's all revenue and non-revenue vehicles.
Okay.
Basically buses, paratransit, and then all of the maintenance, plow, transit police.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Question. Aside from I just noticed there's a big difference between the two vendors. Can you talk a little bit more? I know one we had a longer relationship with, we've worked with in the past, but can you talk a little bit more about the difference between what they're offering, if there is a difference?
I can speak to that. This is Melinda, Director of Procurement. The estimate from Brian is about $880,000, which is in line with what we were expecting from the previous history of the contracts. We did reach out to both J. Ross and Interstate, whatever the name of the company, Interstate. The 80% of the tows that we do at the authority are the buses, the heavy lifting. Interstate does do some heavy lifting, but not to the magnitude with the equipment. The estimate is established when we post the project, so they're aware. It's just they felt that they couldn't do the job in the as close to the estimate as what we had with the $800,000. So the low bid was received. It was deemed to be responsive and responsible. So we are moving forward with J. Ross. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, any other questions from the full board? Okay, so I'd like to ask for a motion to move this to the full board for approval.
Motion Welch.
Do I have a second?
Second, McPherson.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, so I think that was it for our committee. So we're going to go ahead. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion Welch.
Second.
Okay. Motion carries. Oh, all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Sorry. And any opposed? Thanks for bearing with me, everybody. And our committee is now adjourned.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Sleesman?
Here.
Ms. Welch?
Here.
Mayor Gallo? Here. Mr. Love?
Here.
And Mr. Lucas. You have 4 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Okay, we have one presentation today, presentation of a competitive procurement for reconstruction of the Warrensville Van Aken Station. And we have presenters Matt Murata and Jen Martin. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair Sleesman, members of the committee, and members of the board. My name is Matthew Murata. I'm in the Engineering Department, Project Management Division, a resident architect. I'll be presenting for the reconstruction of the Warrensville Van Aken Station. I'd just like to say out of the gate here, really excited to be here to present this project to you. It's been a long time coming for the RTA, the City of Shaker, RMS development in Warrensville Van Aken District. We've poured a lot of sweat and tears into this project to get it where it's at today, and really excited to present this to you today. The project overview. The station serves RTA's light rail system at the end of the Blue Line. It's a transfer point for the 4 bus routes, and it's an integral part of the RTA system at the end of the Blue Line. And the goal is to redevelop the site. As I mentioned, RTA partnered with the City of Shaker Heights, the Van Aken District owners, RMS, to rehabilitate and enhance the station site. The purpose of this project is to create a strong connection for the RTA train station, busway, the commercial district, and the neighborhood and the community. Also, to create an architectural space to uplift and inspire the community is integral to this project to make it a success. We also want to provide quality service for RTA customers and the community, and update the ADA accessibility and security throughout the site that is in much of need. Design was produced by RTA staff, and then we also had project consultants such as HWH, who performed the engineering services for the structural, mechanical, and plumbing engineering on the site. WSP did the track design for the realignment of the station. We had KS Associates for the site survey, K&J Safety for the safety certification and a review process for that. As I mentioned, the design coordination was integral with the City of Shaker and RMS. Another point to make for this project is leveraging the development in the area that has come before this project around the site. RTA station was rehabilitated for this train station was rehabilitated back in 1980s. 1998, it was upgraded, with ADA accessibility. 2013, RTA kind of laid the groundwork for the realignment for the busway, and then it set the stage for the Van Aken District Phase 1, and that's leveraging that investment that was completed in 2019 for a multi-million-dollar project. And then Phase 2 by RMS, which is the Ray Apartment Tower on Farnsley, that just reached substantial completion, so another major investment in the area. And then Phase 3, which is a future office building that would be catty corner to RTA's train station site here. So all these investments that are being made privately, and then the public investment by the City of Shaker, and then we have RTA's piece here now that that's part of the puzzle to fit into the development and to enhance the site. Here is a look at the Van Aken District Public Realm Project. This project was a city undertook to incorporate RTA's train station project. RTA, the planning department, engineering department, and all the stakeholders worked very closely with the City of Shaker, the planning department there, to take the 2 projects and meld them together. So we had an extensive process back in 2020 during COVID to have a lot of charrettes and meetings, public engagement, to really meld the 2 projects together. Another way to say that is if you're a pedestrian or somebody in the development, when RTA's project's all said and done and the city's project is finishing construction, you're not going to know that the whole project will be a cohesive whole. So it's all integral. Part of the scope of the city's project is to provide the streetscape and plaza site improvements and unified development. $1.5 million of TAP funds from NOACA were used to fund the project, and the construction is anticipated to be completed in 2025. Another part of the project, the City of Shaker, in partnership with RTA and RMS, had hired an artist. So a public art selection process was provided. Our committee of residents, professionals, city staff, and RTA. So part of the integral with the Public Realm project is a signature artwork to help activate and beautify the space around the RTA station site. And the artwork serves functionally as a shade structure for the new plaza. Here is a look at the existing conditions on the site. Outlined in orange there is the footprint of the City of Shaker's Public Realm project. As you can see, it's kind of integral to RTA's site. That orange rectangle that is there is along Tuttle Road, was the previous location of RTA's cover station and substation that was demolished during the Van Aken District development in order to install the Tuttle Road. Since then, RTA has installed a new substation on site. That's the green rectangle there. And then we have the redevelopment that I'm discussing today that you'll see is, for the train station site. Here is a look at the existing conditions on site. The City of Shaker's Public Realm project is nearly completed. They're planning to complete their construction sometime this year. And this is kind of a view looking north at the Van Aken District Phase 1, and you can see the Ray apartments in the background, and then RTA's site in the front. That white box that you see is the existing mobile restroom. That is a temporary facility that serves RTA employees. Here is a look at the existing train station and a look down the busway. Those big green boxes in the right picture are existing infrastructure that has been installed the last couple of years by First Energy in order to provide the power requirements for RTA substation on site. The scope of the work is to demolish the existing station, replacement of the RTA comfort station on site, and then construct ADA compliant train waiting platform and throughout the site, and then with the track realignment. Also to install new retaining walls, decorative fences to restrict access throughout the site, upgrade the security lighting and signage. Here is a site plan of the proposed development. On the bottom right is the Public Realm piece of it. And then along the right is the Tuttle Road, and you can see the busway. You can see at the crux of Tuttle Road and the busway is the proposed comfort station. So working with the site restraints, Tuttle Road, the existing busway, the Van Aken District to the north, the shopping plaza to the south, it was a very difficult process to fine-tune the design and the layout for what works for RTA, what works for development, what works for the city from a planning standpoint. And then more importantly is overlaying that for our customers and how do we get the customers from the bus and the train effectively, and then create a safe environment and uplifting environment for the community. Part of the comfort station program in the building is, as usual, is RTA will excuse me. RTA will manage and maintain, the RTA restrooms for train operators and the bus operators' employees. That is accessed by a private entrance within the comfort station. And then secondly, in addition, the private developer is to manage and maintain the public restroom within the facility, and that is accessible through the public space corridor within the comfort station. So that's integral to the design of the building. Also, I'd like to point that RTA is, realigning the tracks here throughout the sites to make it fit in with the existing Van Aken District development. Here is an aerial view looking north down the busway and then north up Tuttle Road. Here is the Tuttle Road east entry. That signage catenary structure that you see there is functional. It's going to provide the dead end connection for the OCS wire system that the trains are powered under, and it also provides a focal point for the station, whether you're coming from the east or west from a distance, you'll be able to see that's where, you know, the RTA station is. That's where I need to board the train. You can see here the comfort station canopy and the architecture within the building. It's functional, and it also provides shelter for the customers. It provides it, as you'll see in the next couple of renderings, the canopy structure provides a canopy for people waiting for the bus along the busway. And then there's a glass transparency through the comfort station building in order to provide that sense of security and openness. And then architecturally, the canopy underside is a faux wood element that is, you know, subliminally try to elevate the experience for RTA customers and pedestrians and people through the Van Aken district, and also provides a sense of movement, which is what the train and the bus provide those pieces for RTA customers. Also integrated into the project is real-time signage, and then map signage, and then taking the extra step even with the bus stops, waiting areas, and all that's been kind of thought through, and how those where we berth a bus, and, you know, integrating that into the design. Also softening up the site with landscaping. Worked closely with the city of Shaker on that. As I mentioned earlier, we've had extensive meetings with the ABR reviews. It was quite the process, and you know, working with the city internally with the RTA stakeholders throughout all the departments, and the City of Shaker Architectural Board Review, they were just much as part of this project as we were, because it actually, you know, you can't always figure everything out, but when you have a bunch of people coming to the table, everyone's showing up, and this is where we got to today. So it's really exciting. Here is a look at the train station waiting platform. This is the ADA mini-high boarding ramp system. There's also some art elements that it's integrated into the handrail railing system that was approved by the City of Shaker Architectural Board Review. Here's a look at the shelters, kind of taking the architectural elements from the underside of the canopy of the comfort station and integrating it into the underside of the shelters. It's a faux wood. It's a metal panel, so ideally it'd be nice to use wood, but that's not going to hold up for maintenance over time. So it is a heavy grade metal that's going to be durable and maintenance free. Another opportunity within this project was, per the city requirements, is those big green boxes that I showed you a picture of earlier. The First Energy cabinets that provide the power to the substation. So these elements had to be placed on site very carefully in coordination with the site layout. So then that provided an opportunity for the City of Shaker and RTA, in order to meet their zoning requirements, ordinances, is to screen these cabinets. So this was an artistic opportunity, an architectural opportunity also, to really evaluate that. We went through an extensive process with that, with the city and different stakeholders to kind of get to this element that we're at today. One key feature that you might not see until it's built, but if you're looking through this fence system right now, you could see the train waiting there at the train station. Also, vice versa, if you're on the train station platform, you'll be able to see the bus. So in case you need to make your connection. So it's trying to achieve the screening while still maintaining the visual connection for RTA customers and the people in order to see the bus and the train, which is vital. So we couldn't put up a wall there, in other words, to block the view. We've also overlaid on the site all the cameras and emergency phone for crime prevention throughout the site. They have full coverage. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the extensive process going over the materials for the project to kind of meld that with the Van Aken district architecture and the city requirements. Some look at some of the site furnishings, the bike rack, garbage, seating, also landscaping, fitting in with the public realm project and design and the development using non-invasive species and salt-tolerant species. Proposed project schedule. Notice to proceed is anticipated in May. The existing train station will be open during construction. The busway will also be open for operation during construction, and approximately 1 year construction with a completion in 2026. And this will set the stage for RTA's future project that's upcoming for the track, the signal, and the OCS systems that have to be installed as a separate project in order to complete the project on site. I'll turn it over to Jen Martin.
Good morning. My name is Jen Martin, and I am the contract administrator for this procurement. The invitation for bid was issued on December 13th of 2024. It was accessed on the GCRTA website by 40 interested parties. 5 firms had submitted a bid, and 3 firms were deemed responsive. The lowest responsive and responsible vendor was Mike Coates Construction Company, Inc. of Niles, Ohio. A 17% DBE participation goal was assigned to this procurement by the Office of Business Development and will be achieved by utilizing Izazar Electric LLC. Mike Coates Construction Company, Inc. has successfully completed projects for the City of Westlake, Erie County, Western Reserve Transit Authority, City of Warren, City of Canton, among many others. Their current projects are with the Youngstown Air Reserve Base, French Creek Township, City of Canton, and Ursuline Mother House Assisted Living Facility. Staff requests that the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee recommend award to Mike Coates Construction Company, Inc. for the Warrensville Van Aken Station reconstruction. This contract is in amount not to exceed $6,702,676.00. We will be happy to entertain any questions the board may have.
I'd like to thank you, Matt and Jen, for the presentation, and as an editorial, thanks for working hand in hand with Shaker. I know a lot goes into that, but I think it's a really good step to maintain good relationships with the community and actually make sure that our facilities are constructed and appear in a way in which the community would be appreciative of. So thanks for that. Are there any questions from the committee? Ms. Welch?
I was just going to add to that all the sweat and tears are worth it. It is so exciting to see the expansion. I don't know if you've seen all of the viral videos around the Van Aken district that have become popular with millions of views around the country of people using the Van Aken district as an example of mixed-use development. I mean, it is stellar. And to see this expansion and see the ways that RTA is a part of that partnership and working with you all is just phenomenal to see. And so I just want to give you your kudos for that work.
Thank you.
Mr. Love?
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation. This is a really exciting project. Just a couple questions. Is there going to be some look at signage as part of the overall, well, one, the integration with the public realm and the station, but also with the Van Aken district? Like, as a user of the Van Aken district, I guess, I can say that there isn't necessarily a strong integration of signage that kind of helps you get to the station. So I'm just curious, is that part of the thinking around the upgrades here?
Yes, there is integral, our standard RTA signage throughout the station site along the busway and the train station platform, and then also we have, the map signage that's been integrated into the design, And then we have the real-time signage that's been integrated into design. And that's also been reviewed and approved to integrate with the Van Aken District and approved by the city of Shaker to make that a reality. Some of that signage, our standard signage, is not shown in the renderings, but you can see here, like the bus stop sign. There's a map sign there near the underside of the canopy, the right-hand side of the rendering.
Great.
Is that helpful?
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that additional information. Another follow-up question just regarding the comfort station. So the public restrooms, in addition to the GCRTA staff, those will be maintained by GCRTA?
Yes.
And will that building have access 24/7? What would be the kind of usage for that? Would it revolve around train schedule, bus schedule?
The RTA will have the ability to secure the building as needed based on operations.
Then just
Excuse, Matt.
We want to piggyback on that if we can. Go ahead, Mike.
We need to clarify that question. RTA will maintain the comfort stations for our operators that are part of the building. RMS will be maintaining the public comfort stations.
Thank you for clarifying
We
that.
need to clarify that. And that was part of our agreement with them. We would build it, they would operate and maintain it. As they, maintain a lot of the area around the whole Van Aken district. So that's part of their maintenance responsibility. And we hope that by doing this, the people that use that respect the facility.
So let me double check. Does that confirm the question?
That's helpful.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if that was a GCRTA.
Yeah, we've just to piggyback and to summarize. So we've got two facilities, correct me if I'm wrong, two facilities that will be for operator use, for internal use, and we'll be maintaining those facilities. Those will match the operational hours of the service to make sure that our operators can use the facilities during breaks and layovers and the like. But those are restricted for internal use. We've had several conversations about restrooms, so we want to make sure, and that's what Mike was alluding to make sure that the public-facing restroom, which will be one, will be handled by RMS. That will be able to be maintained and upkept by the external third party, because we typically don't have restroom usage under our portfolio. So we want to make sure that our third party is aware of that and also responsible for that within the contract. And it'll be on the customers to be able to hopefully respect that space as we go forward. But it should be a great amenity for the station.
Absolutely, and hopefully a good model for future partnerships. My last question, you talked a little bit about sort of the built environment of the station, provided some background on decisions around landscape, around materiality. I'm just curious, was there a sort of a sustainability design guideline that helped kind of inform the GCRTA internal process, the external engineering and design process, that just helped to integrate guidelines on, thinking about materiality, thinking about landscaping, thinking about integrating solar where appropriate for lighting, backup lighting, integrating additional conduit for future electrical, integrating Wi-Fi. Just curious about, are there internally those types of design guidelines that sort of guide these type of capital projects and improvements?
Absolutely. We use the best practice for engineering and architectural design, and then case studies for what we've done in the past. We use, LED lighting. We've also have the backbone for future infrastructure, to your point, with the conduits and setting the stage for the next phase of the development. So we have the ability to expand on some of those things that are maybe unknown now, or, what ifs in the future.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I really appreciate showing the product selections. I'm a visual learner, so that's very helpful on that. One question on the public restrooms for RMS. If a locking system has been considered so that they're closed automatically and when the system's not operating? It helps with maintenance, also helps with vandalism. It locks automatically at night, unlocks in the morning at a certain set schedule, which I think for the Shaker police would probably appreciate it. It's one less thing you have to look at. And no, you can not get locked inside. It'll let you out do that. But didn't know if that was a consideration in the plan.
That has been integrated into the project. There's complete flexibility to have the ability to lock the station down as needed. We have electric strikes. Also, the restroom has, lock latches, and then in case of emergency, if the police had to get in there for something to happen. One thing I'll point out is there is emergency call box inside the public restroom in case of an emergency. Sure.
Are there any other questions from the committee or the board as a whole? All right, with that, I believe we have a recommendation to move this to the board. Do I have a motion?
Motion, Welch.
Do I have a second?
Second, Love.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, that was our only item, so I will move to adjourn this committee meeting. Do I have a second?
Second, Welch.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and this meeting is adjourned.
I'm going to call to order the Audit, Safety, Compliance, and Real Estate Committee meeting on behalf of Chair Wise. Roll call, please, Teresa.
Mayor Wise, Ms. Welch.
Here.
Ms. Elder.
Here.
Ms. Pachetti, and Mr. Sleesman.
Yep.
You have 3 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We have one item on the agenda, which is a permanent easement for the construction, use, operation, and maintenance of a connector track, delivery switch, and related facilities at the Port of Cleveland for a delivery of replacement rail cars. We have presenter Jim Reed, who's in property manager.
Good morning, Chairperson Welch, members of the committee, members of the board. My name is Jim Reed. I'm the property manager here at RTA. I'm here to present a proposed permanent easement agreement with the Cleveland Cuyahoga County Port Authority for the construction. I'm sorry, I got to get my slides going here. Let me get to the beginning. There we are. It's a proposed permanent easement agreement with the Cleveland Cuyahoga County Port Authority for the construction, use, operation, and maintenance of a connector track, delivery switch, and related facilities at the Port of Cleveland for the delivery of the replacement rail cars. This is a location map showing the general location of the project. It's located on the Port of Cleveland property, adjacent to the waterfront line tracks, which are depicted by the blue dashed line. This easement is essential The easement and the tracks to be constructed on the easement are essential to the railcar replacement program. The easement covers construction, operation, use, and maintenance of the connector track and related rail infrastructure. As I've stated, the easement is located at the Port of Cleveland, which is in an existing freight rail corridor. The site is conveniently located adjacent to the GCRTA tracks. This slide depicts the easement layout on the site. The easement itself is 40 feet wide. The proposed track location is depicted by the black line down the middle. The easement is approximately 450 feet in length. New rail cars will arrive by freight to the Port of Cleveland in mid-2026. Siemens, the manufacturer, will transfer the rail cars from a freight line to the waterfront line and move them via locomotive to GCRTA's Brook Park yard. The new rail cars are to be commissioned at the Brook Park site, which is off of the red line near the airport. The terms, conditions, and rights to be acquired by GCRTA will be memorialized in a permanent easement agreement, which has been fully negotiated by staff and the Port Authority. The terms include that this easement is non-exclusive. However, GCRTA always has priority of use. As I stated earlier, it's 42 feet wide, comprising 17,128 square feet. There is no cost to GCRTA for the easement rights. Staff requests the Audit, Safety, Compliance, and Real Estate Committee to recommend approval of a permanent easement agreement with the Cleveland-Cuyahoga County Port Authority for the construction, use, operation, and maintenance of a connector track, delivery switch, and related facilities at the Port of Cleveland for the delivery of replacement rail cars. Any questions, please?
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? What is a whole of a whole? Okay. Do we have a motion to move forward?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second, Elder.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you so much for that presentation. I'm now going to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting has been adjourned.
I'd like to call to order the RTA Committee of the Whole Board. A roll call, please.
Mayor Kumar,
Here.
Ms. Welch,
Here.
Ms. Elder,
Here.
Mayor Gallo,
Here.
Mr. Love,
Here.
Reverend Lucas, Ms. McPherson,
Here.
Ms. Pachetti, Mr. Sleesman,
Yep.
and Mayor Weiss. You have 7 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Great. The first item we have is a code book update from Don Tarka.
Good morning, Mayor Kumar, members of the board. I'm Dawn Tarka, an attorney with the Authority's Legal Department. This morning, we're here to discuss some proposed revisions to the board's policies, the codified rules and regulations. By way of background, the board's policies were codified in 1989. We are in the process of reviewing and updating them to bring them in line with current operations. They are subject to review and revision every 3 years, and the legal department works with the subject matter experts in the authority to update the policies. Last month, there was a presentation by Josh Miranda on fare capping, and today's revision to the policies are intended to implement that fare capping policy. There is a red line in the committee packet that shows the exact language that is being proposed to update the policy. The primary objectives are to add a fare capping provision that authorizes the general manager to implement fare capping. It ensures that riders receive the lowest available fare in 3 categories of fares: daily, rolling 7-day, and monthly categories. In order to take advantage of fare capping, the customer needs to either use the authority's transit app and select the tap and ride function, or use a smart card. The second major add to the policy is to add an open payments provision. The open payments provision is intended for the convenience of the customer, to allow for the use of a credit card or a smartphone to pay for their fare. Open payments do not allow for fare capping. In the process of implementing fare capping, it was considered that it would be beneficial to eliminate certain categories of fares to streamline the process and make the fare capping policy more effective. There are 2 categories of fares that were considered to be eliminated: the park and ride and out-of-county fares. The park and ride fare is a 25-cent surcharge that amounts to revenue in the amount of $1,000 per month. The rides outside the county is a $1 surcharge per ride, and that amounts to about $300 a month. And then the final change that is included in the policy is to reorganize the sections and do some editing for consistency and clarity. Staff requests that the Committee of the Whole recommend these provisions to the Board for approval. Are there any questions?
Questions from the committee?
Is are open payments going to be enacted at the same time as fair capping?
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions? Not, I'll make a motion to refer this to the whole board, the board for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we go into executive session, I believe our CEO General Manager has some comments, but before she does that, I just wanted to publicly again thank Teresa for her years of service to RTA, keeping us in order, efficient. You're great. You're even keel. You smile all the time, which is great. Makes everybody feel good. So thank you again for your service to the authority. We just really appreciate what you've done. This is the spot for your speech.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go over
While Teresa is taking the podium, I'll just take advantage of the time to be able to say thank you, Teresa. For those of you from the public who are here, if you are not aware, Teresa Barrage has been with us for quite some time in the role of really all things board. She's been our liaison. She's been our executive assistant. She's been the calendar keeper and the resolution hunter-gatherer. She's been just really the backbone in a lot of what we do for the board. And we've had a lot of board members over the last, if I can say 5 years, and I know over the last 15 plus. So Teresa, we appreciate you. I know that we've kind of said in different opportunities, thank you, but this is the formal and the official thank you for your service. We've got you for a couple more days, so excuse us if we ask you a million questions before you do depart. But we're super excited for Teresa. She's able to really kind of live out a little bit of her professional dream more in the community development realm and the artistic realm. So we're excited for her to be able to move forward into that capacity. We know it's hard to leave all the crazy that we have here at RTA. So, but it's a good crazy, and we appreciate the work that you've done for us. So best of luck, and we'll enjoy some cupcakes and balloons a little bit later after the board meeting. And then I am going to ask Bob to just take a quick photo after Teresa's comments so that we can get a group photo for her to take along with her.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. I just wanted to thank everybody for being here. First, I want to give kudos to this board, current board members, past board members. We've had a lot of different faces, professions, and all of you are so special because you bring your talent, you bring your gift, you bring your to this board, and I really appreciate it. I can see that this board is going to be going to new heights. Under the leadership of Mayor Kumar. He has streamlined a lot of things, so I know it's going to go in a different direction. I want to thank India and the staff. I did have kudos for some people that are not here, Doc and Janet, but being a board support person, it is a lot of responsibility. And sometimes it get kind of lonely because, I can't talk to everybody. I have to keep things close to my chest. I have to be confidential in a lot of things. But there were 3 people that I know I could go to. Of course, Ms. Terry as our fearless leader, Janet as the legal person who always kept me on a straight and level, and Raj. And so all 3 of you, I know I can come to you with anything. Our leader, Ms. Terry, you guys have a treasure in her. She's very even keeled. She doesn't lose it. She is calm as a cucumber, and you need that for your leader. You need somebody that's not a hothead that can keep things level and keep things moving. So thank you for that, Ms. Terry. Janet is not here. A lot of times I would call her crying. Janet, I need help. Her and Cheryl. I know Cheryl's not here. They were always there just to kind of give me that shoulder to cry on. And then Raj, too, is just so cool. He walks into the office. I'm like, Raj, help. He's like, Ms. Barrage. It's okay. He keeps everything calm. He helps me level set whatever is going on. So thank you, Raj. And Doc is not here. Doc was one of the first people I was working with when I first got here in the budget department. And I was telling him how I admired him for how he instilled so much in his wife to keep elevating in her education and her degrees. And she went and got her PhD. And I said, that's inspiring to see a husband support his wife like that. So Doc took me to lunch and I told him about my career goals and aspirations and things I had done. And he was always there to encourage me. Teresa, you can do it. And I didn't tell him, but I got into a master's program. But what had happened was I had to tell him about that later. He doesn't know. But it's never too late. It's never too late to reach higher heights. I did want to acknowledge, and forgive me if I don't say all names, Melinda, I work closely with her with these rezos, and she's going to be leaving in July. I'm definitely going to miss you. But Sophia, you'll have somebody to count on in Melinda, and there's so many others. But I did want to acknowledge Mary and Shar that are here. They were here when I first got here, and these ladies were awesome. They embraced me. They supported me. We were a great team. Shar welcomed me into the golf outings. Mary trained me. And I had been a couple different places. I had worked at some agencies, and I got here, and I was really impressed. I was like, wow, these ladies have it together. So I really learned a lot, and I had a lot of great times with them in the executive department. But I did want to talk a little bit about my transit life. I have been taking transit since I was little. The 14 was my bus. I lived on Kinsman. And so when I got called to work here, I was just like, oh, wow, RTA. I'm like, this is the cream of the crop. This RTA. I just had all this positive things in my mind about RTA. But it was always a part of my life. And then when I graduated, did my undergrad, I went to Chicago. I got to take the L to work downtown every day. We had smart card. We had all this stuff that we're doing here. So I got to see that before I came here. And then also during my undergrad, I got to travel overseas and do some study abroad work in Lancaster, England. And I had never been overseas. I had never taken high-speed rail. I got off at Gatwick, and I was able to take a train all the way from Gatwick all the way up to Lancaster University, see the country. And so even then in the 90s, I was connecting transit to the community, connecting transit to where I had to go. So that was just really a great experience, and I thought that was so awesome. And then I come back here. RTA was just cutting the ribbon on the health line with Mike Schiffer. We were doing, for paratransit, the functional testing. I remember all this stuff that was happening. We were doing proof of payment on the red line. So all this stuff was kind of like full circle, me having my local, my national, my international touch with transit, and then coming and working here at RTA. But along the way, I also got to work with a lot of amazing people. All of them are here. They're in the districts. They're in this building. But I got to work with Mary Beth in the Arts at Transit program, the transit tracks, putting art in our facilities, working with our musicians. I looked forward to going down to Tower City every month to set up those musicians, to see the look on the customer's face when they heard the music, and it just helped them have a more warm and inviting ride. And then I would say sort of the top of my success here was actually working on an APTA conference. RTA hosted a board conference, and it was really my first conference. And wow, it was a lot. But we did a great job. We brought all these transit professionals to Cleveland. We showed them a good time. We showed them that Cleveland is not the mistake on the lake. A lot of times, a lot of these people had not been to Cleveland in 20 years. They hadn't been here at all. We had some great tours with Mike Schipper and his team. We gave great giveaways. They were in a new hotel. They had great sessions. And let me tell you, these people walked away saying, Cleveland rocks, RTA rocks. So I'm very proud. I was a part of that team with George Dixon and Valerie and Mayor Clough and all those board members at that time. And I really credit all of that success to that board at that time. And I was a very integral part of making that happen. And I think that's it. I'm going to end with a new hire humor story. Doc is not here. But when I started in 2007, it was a cold January in 2007. And I had only been here for a month, February. And this big storm comes. And I'm at home, and my car is buried. everybody's calling off. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, how am I going to get to work? I can't get to work in this, I'm going to call off. But I was new, so I didn't want to have a bad impression. So I go outside, I would take my car to the train, but it was buried. So I thought about the 14 that I took as a child. I lived on Kinsman. I was just a few steps from the 14. I said, you know what? I'm just going to dig in and put my coat on and go down to this 14. And I went down there, and everybody who rides RTA, rides the bus or train, when it's cold outside, you just doing 2 steps. And so I did that, and I saw those big, bright eyes of the bus coming down the street, and I knew I was going to have a good day. And I got on that bus, and the heat was on, and we're riding down Kinsman, and there are buses and cars spun out, people digging out, and I just thought, oh my God, are we going to make it here? Maybe I should have just called off. What did I do? I'm going to be stranded on Kinsman. But that bus, I don't know who the operator was, but they got me to this building that day. I came down here. It was a ghost town. Nobody was here. Got to my desk, nobody was in the executive department. I said, why did I do this? I sit at my desk, and I look in the corner office, and at the time, Joe Calabrese was CEO. He was here. His light was on. He was in there. He comes down to me, he bends down, and he was like, how'd you get here? And I felt like Jared from State Farm when he said khakis. I was like, RTA. And so he looked at me, and he just walked away and went down the hallway, and I said, I did good. I came in on a snow day. And so I have kind of kept that with me. I always had a strong work ethic, got it from my mom. I do what I have to do to get the job done, which I probably shouldn't. I know Miss Terry looked at me one time. I came in a snow day, and she's like, you got the bagels? You actually stopped and got the bagels. But that's just how I was raised. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to miss you guys, but I'm going to be right up the street. So I'll make sure I harass you and call you and come down and visit when I can, because I will be out in the community doing community outreach for the Fatherhood Initiative. But I will miss you guys, and I'm going to take everything that I've learned here, and I'm going to take it to the next level. And thank you.
Teresa, that was the best darn going away speech I've ever heard. That was I think most people are like, that is the most we've heard Teresa talk in a long time. We appreciate you. Bob is going to take a quick photo. So if we can get the board together with Teresa, that would be great.
And Teresa, I just wanted to confirm, Melinda's not retiring till July 26th, right? You want us in front, Bob? Yeah. Come around. Okay. And then just one note of business for the board. I was talking with Raj since the retreat, and we would like to wrap up our finance discussion. We ran a little tight on time, so we're thinking of sending out a meeting invite for the committee session in April from like 8:30 to 9. That is April 1st, so when you see a finance meeting come across, it is not a joke. So we'll get that sent out, and we'll wrap up that discussion. I think it'll be a good discussion.
All right, hard to come behind all of that. We appreciate Teresa again, and that was a fantastic speech. I know she said, we're going to hold, I can't wait to get in the dais. I said, this is going to be good, and it was. So we appreciate you, Teresa. Just a couple of matters of updates while I have the floor. We did have our board retreat last week. Time is evading all of us. And it was a very good retreat. Just wanted to say thank you to the board members and to the staff for giving us a day of your time. And also we had a couple of members of the public that were there as well. So we appreciate you for kind of tuning into what we talked about. It was a great opportunity for us to review the strategic plan that we have. If you are not aware, we have a 10-year strategic plan that we're smack dab in the middle of. And we're also at a good inflection point where we can say, hey, let's update it a little bit, see how we're doing. Are things still what we thought they were in 2020, and how do we move forward? And also really assigning passion projects to board members. That's what it really was about, to make sure, as was mentioned a couple different times, we have some new blood on the board, and so we wanted to make sure that folks really understood what we had planned, and then also how to deep dive into some of those projects so that we can marry up folks' passions and 9-to-5s in an ethical way that complies with legal and Robert's rules, to make sure that everybody is pushing those projects ahead and that we don't lose traction. You all know I said that on purpose for those of you, to make sure that we can push ahead. So we will continue to incorporate that feedback into our process, and we will be having a more formal revision of that strategic plan over the next 12 months or so. And we'll be able to bring that back to you, and we'll keep going from there. Also wanted to give a quick heads up that we have a couple folks that are actually in Columbus today. Not only from the team, as I understand it, Mayor Weiss was also asked for testimony for Shaker, hence his absence, but Dr. Caver, who is not here, is actually testifying within a couple hours for RTA. I had the pleasure of testifying a couple weeks ago. We were asked to return, which is always a good sign. He is testifying for the Senate Transportation Committee this afternoon, and that testimony usually has to do with a lot of budget for transportation, safety and security initiatives, as well as just capital projects that will be also impacting our operational support that we have from the legislature, from the state. So again, that is a very good sign that we were asked. We have to split the baby, so that's what we do, and we kind of farm ourselves out to make sure that we can be everywhere at all times. Deputy Chief Gettings is with him, so again, splitting the baby. We have Chief Jones here. We have Orlando Hudson for the command staff here in the board, and we also have Mike Gettings out on the road. So we split up when we can to make sure that we can have full coverage and be able to represent Cleveland in the best manner possible. I believe that concludes one other item, just for the record. Janet Burney, that is not Janet that is sitting there, and that was not Doc that was sitting over there. So Anna Lavix is here for legal if there are any questions on anything, but Janet is taking safety NIMS training, which we all probably owe a couple courses, and she's doing her due diligence, having safety under her portfolio, so we appreciate the stand-in from Anna. And that concludes my update.
Thank you very much. Last item on the agenda is an executive session has been requested to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of a public employee or official. I'd like to make a motion for that. Is there a second?
Second, Welch.
Roll call, please.
All right. Eric Kumar?
Yes.
Ms. Welch?
Yes.
Ms. Elder?
Yes.
Mayor Gallo?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Ms. McPherson?
Yes.
And Mr. Sleesman?
Yes.
We have 7 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Great. We'll go in the back. Who else would you need?
Remiss in mentioning, we have to swear in our trustee. Did you do it this morning? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. I had it on my notes for afterward. Want to make sure you're legal here. All right. Thank you. I'm channeling my inner Janet.
Important.
All right.
And after the executive session, other public business other than to celebrate with Teresa and cupcakes.
Awesome. Thank you. For the executive session, we'll go back into the caucus room here. We'll have the board members.
All right, all ready?
I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session. Is there a second?
Second Welch.
Roll call, please.
All right, Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Ms. Welch.
Yes.
Ms. Elder.
Yes.
Mayor Gallo.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Yes.
Ms. McPherson.
Yes.
And Mr. Sleesman.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and none opposed.
Okay, we're back in regular session. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor?